rivalry between the Jets and the Miami Dolphins, a rich and storied history. It is a beautiful New Year's Day here in South Florida. 78-degree temperatures, almost no wind at all, and it is a bright, sunshiny day. And there is Rex Ryan in his third season as the head man of the New York Jets. And Mark Sanchez directly in the spotlight today, as he has been all season long, and looking to make amends, most recently for the stumble against the New York Giants a week ago. Jason Taylor, the man of the hour, here in Miami, playing his final game, and we are underway. Miami won the toss, they deferred, and Joe McKnight watches that one sail into the end zone. The Jets will start on their own 20-yard line. The Jets quarterback. Is there anyone in New York sports more talked about these days than Mark Sanchez? He has accounted for 30 touchdowns this season, 24 TD passes. He's also rushed for 6 touchdowns. Sean Green in the backfield, needing 1 yard for 1,000 rushing for this season. And he will get the ball, and he'll get that 1 yard, and he is at the 1,000-yard mark. The offensive line has not been a strong point. The steady anchor, though, center Nick Mangold, named this week to his 4th Pro Bowl. Nor has the running game been the force Jets fans are used to. Running back Sean Green arrived today a yard shy, and he got that, and he just carried again. So Sean Green with the first 2 carries of the day, and you see all of the other weapons Sanchez has at his disposal.
Well, the Jets aren't in any way unaware of how hard it is to run the football against the Miami Dolphins. You can see 2 efforts at hammering away, nets a grand total of 5 yards. They're the 3rd-ranked run defense in the NFL.
On 3rd and 5, LaDainian Tomlinson in the backfield. Sanchez over the middle, incomplete. Tipped at the line of scrimmage. Patrick Turner, the intended receiver. And so a quick 3 and out.
And that's what Miami was looking for when they won the toss. They decided to defer, put their defense out on the field first, and that worked out exactly the way interim coach Todd Bowles had it envisioned. 3 and out, and let's start on O.
Devon Bess is deep for the punt. And he'll fair catch this one at the Miami 34-yard line. So decent field position for the Dolphins for their first go-around on offense. Matt Moore made his first start for the Dolphins in the 24-6 loss to these Jets back in October. He had 3 TD passes in last week's 3-point loss at New England.
And probably everyone except Matt Moore a little surprised as to how well he has played, Greg.
Stepped into the breach and did it well.
He's played very efficiently, got more than twice as many touchdowns as interceptions.
Reggie Bush out with an injury. This is Daniel Thomas, the rookie. Gets back to the line of scrimmage and no more.
And for the New York Jets, that's really good news for them that Reggie Bush is not going to play. Because Reggie Bush had been carrying the football. Not only does he have 1,086 yards, but he's got 5 yards a carry. And in the National Football League, that is a golden number when you're averaging 5 yards a carry. And Bush injuring his knee last week, inactive today, and that's a big plus for the Jets.
Moore to throw on 2nd down, outside, and that is complete to Hartline, and Hartline is forced out of bounds. Miami's Pro Bowl left tackle Jake Long done with a biceps tear. Number 74, John Jerry, starts for him on the left side. And the backs and the receivers, and Brandon Marshall with a few fiery remarks this week that only add fuel to this already intense rivalry.
Well, like it's not enough fun watching Brandon Marshall and Darrelle Revis, who will probably spend, 90% of the time today one-on-one against each other. But he said that Darrelle Revis gets the Michael Jordan treatment. In other words, the officials look the other way while he commits a few penalties.
Quick pass on the outside to Thomas out of the backfield, and Thomas with a first down and more to midfield. The Jets' 7th-ranked defense. First-round draft pick Muhammad Wilkerson has started every game this season at defensive end. At linebacker, David Harris, ignored by Pro Bowl voters, recognized by his peers. The Jets' leading tackler, 5 sacks, 4 picks, and the best corner in football, Darrelle Revis, going to his 4th Pro Bowl in 5 years. We will watch him up against Brandon Marshall today, and there is the inactive Reggie Bush on the sideline. On first down, this is Thomas again, and Thomas running home up the middle. Inside the Jet 45 to the 40. And another Miami first down.
Well, what an outstanding job of blocking by the Miami front. Take a look at this. Richie Incognito comes around on the pull. He gets a good block on Bart Scott back to the inside. And I'm sure Daniel Thomas, even for a rookie, was wide-eyed going through that hole. A little bit of disbelief as to how big it actually was.
Steve Slayton has come into the backfield for Miami now on first down. Ford throw. Good time. Inside the 30-yard line. That is complete to Brandon Marshall for a first down.
And Brandon Marshall's coming out of the game. He's got something wrong with either his right arm or his right hand. Again, Brandon Marshall working inside against the New York zone. Sits down right in front of Eric Smith. But when he came out and he was holding that right arm, he didn't move it when he was running off the field.
So first down for Moore and the Dolphins at the Jet 27. Moore to throw again. Short pass, and that's complete inside the 30 to Slayton. Let's go back and take a look at Brandon Marshall again.
Well, again, he's right in front of Eric Smith, and there he is on the way to the sideline, and you can see he has no interest in moving that right arm at all, and he is obviously in a great deal of pain.
Hasn't taken a seat yet on the sideline as you see him being looked at.
Well, he is a tough guy. Make no mistake about that. He's one of the best in the league after the catch. It might be a finger. They're looking at his right hand.
There is the interim coach, Todd Bowles. Yep. On second down, this is Slayton. Close to the 25-yard line. Mark Sanchez sitting there and waiting his turn. Meanwhile, teams have been doing to the Jets what the Jets have been known for the last few years, and that's running the football, Dan. Who would have thought that the New York Jets would find themselves outrushed at this stage of the year?
They used to be one of the toughest teams in the league to run against, and there's Brandon Marshall back in the game, but people have been running against the Jets. A combination of not being able to get off blocks like they should, but a lot of it is missed tackles. They just haven't tackled well collectively this year.
And Marshall back into the game, and on this side of the field, and Moore throws, crossing pattern incomplete. Off the hands of the tight end, Anthony Fasano.
Well, Fasano suffered a concussion a couple weeks ago, didn't play last week, and he's okay to play today. And he initially is able to get out there with his right hand and stop the football. And right there, it looks like it's going to be a catch, but then it just gets away from him as he tries to pull it into his chest.
So Dan Carpenter will line this one up from 44 yards out. Kick on the way and is perfect. 9.5 minutes to play in the first quarter, and the Miami Dolphins draw first blood, 3-0. Miami went 40 yards in 9 plays, and Carpenter's field goal has the Dolphins on top by a 3-0 score. And we were discussing Matt Moore earlier. He has filled in admirably since the early season injuries at the quarterback position. Low kick, McKnight from the goal line. 20. And down at about the 22 or 23-yard line where he was hit by Rashad Jones. So Mark Sanchez back on the field for his second offensive series when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. CVS. CVS Pharmacy accepts Express Scripts and over 5,000 other insurance plans. And by Acura. Acura Advance.
Welcome back, everyone. See what makes unforgettable this season's #1 new drama. Poppy Montgomery and Dylan Walsh star. Tuesday, only CBS.
Well, Brian Schottenheimer, the offensive coordinator, he doesn't want Mark Sanchez to try to put the ball in the air 67 times like he did last week. But he's got to face reality that running against this Miami team is going to be hard to do. And really, this is a team that you are probably going to have more success going through the air. We saw their first 2 runs netted a grand total of 5 yards, but you might have to soften them up by throwing the ball.
On first down, the give is the fake to Tomlinson and the pass to Tomlinson out of the backfield. My mistake, he's out to about the 28-yard line.
Well, that was a heck of a nice catch by LT on a football from Mark Sanchez that was a little low. And those are the tough ones for a running back, anyone to keep stride, not stumble, but go down and dig it out, and that's what LT did there.
Pickup of 6 on the play, and you were talking about Brian Schottenheimer. He told us what is a basic staple of the game. They have to do a better job on first and second down.
No question. Way too many third and long.
He gave us to LT, and LT straight ahead to about the 34. We get our first update of the day. JB and Boomer.
All right, an important game for the Patriots, Boomer.
Remember, if they win this game, they get the #1 seed in the AFC playoffs. Buffalo's first drive, 8 plays, 80 yards, capped off by a Tashard Choice 4-yard TD run. Buffalo up 7-0.
Long distance travel for Greg today with the assignment. Back to Greg and Dan.
Why do I feel sarcasm?
Yeah, really.
Jeremy Curley with the snap and throwing to a wide open receiver, Matthew Mulligan, to about the 25-yard line.
Well, Jeremy Curley, the rookie wide receiver from TCU, in the old Brad Smith position of taking it out of the Wildcat. Joe McKnight deep behind him, and look at that nice fake, but look at the throw. How about that? What a sensational pass, and he's got to do this with pressure coming right at him. You know, Cameron Wake really lets him have it. That was an all-star pass by Jeremy Curley.
First down for Sanchez and the Jets, and the handoff is to Tomlinson. And Tomlinson dancing his way inside the 22, about the 16-yard line.
Now that is an old-fashioned New York Jets first down play. Gashing the other team with good blocking. Look at LT get into the hole. Comes right in behind Dustin Keller. And that's, you know what? You look at that footage right there, and you know, people are talking about, is this LT's last year? He doesn't look to me like a running back that still doesn't have some gas in the tank.
That was vintage LT. And this is Tomlinson again to the 10, to about the 8-yard line. And Jason Taylor with the hit. But another first down for the Jets.
And LT's coming out. He took a heavy hit there at the end, but he did his job. Couple good first down runs. He converted a third down. And again, he got him in a first and goal situation. Good blocking up front, though. Check it out. The best red zone team in the National Football League at almost 67%. That is a big number.
Sanchez under pressure and goes down at about the 12. Randy Starks, the defensive end, the first in on Mark Sanchez.
But that's okay. Rex Ryan gives Sanchez a lot of credit for their red zone success. You know, a lot of that touchdown percentage being 67% means you don't turn it over in the red zone. And while Mark has had his problems with turnovers, they've mostly been out in the open field. He's done a good job of taking care of the football in the red zone.
Second and goal now from the 12. Sanchez inside the 10 to the 1. The catch is made by Dustin Keller.
And then no surprise, any team in the NFL, if you've got a good tight end, he's your favorite go-to guy in the red zone. And of course, Keller's the leading receiver for the Jets anyway. And you can see the Dolphins were playing really soft. He had no problem finding a place to sit down square his shoulders and make himself a target.
We have an injured Dolphin. Carlos Dansby is down on one knee at about the 5-yard line. Carlos Dansby, one of several linebackers who have been outstanding for the Miami Dolphins. We'll take 6:06 to play here in the first quarter. Hey, tomorrow on CBS, kick off the new year with a new episode of Hawaii Five-0 you won't want to miss. Right here, only CBS. The New York Jets threatening at the 1-yard line as Carlos Dansby is looked at on the Miami bench.
He went down untouched, Greg. It looked like he pulled a muscle or something in a leg or a groin, but he didn't even make contact when he crumpled to the ground.
Sean Green and John Connor in the Jet backfield on 3rd and goal. Sanchez with the ball. Throws. Touchdown. Keller.
Doesn't get much easier than that. Mark Sanchez being such a good out-of-the-pocket quarterback in terms of his ability to take a run into the end zone, forces the Miami Dolphins to make a choice, and you can see their choice is to come up and play Mark Sanchez and totally disregard Dustin Keller.
Something you have to respect. Mark Sanchez has run for 6 touchdowns this season, but that's his 25th TD pass of the year. And the extra point is good.
That was a really, really good balanced drive by the New York Jets.
Dustin Keller's 5th TD catch of the season. Celebrations abound. The Jets with a 7-3 lead on Miami.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Droid Razor by Motorola. Droid strong, razor sharp. And by the next generation Honda Civic. To each their own.
As you look at the scoring drive for the Jets, beating the Dolphins is only the first step for the Jets in making the postseason. Another of several is that Tennessee loses at Houston, and right now the Houston Texans hold a 7-0 lead on the Tennessee Titans.
All the other games of importance to the Jets take place starting at 4:15 today.
Clyde Gates will run it out of the end zone. And is buried at about the 11-yard line. Speaking of that Tennessee-Houston game, let's get you back to New York, JB and Boomer.
Here's the visual embellishment of what you said.
13 plays, 90 yards. Houston goes on top, 7-0. Good news for the Jets. TJ Yates, the rookie quarterback, went in for observation, took a hit to the head. Bad news for the Jets. Jake Delhomme in at quarterback for Houston.
Back to Greg Gumbel and Dan Deardorff.
All right, guys, thank you. But Gary Kubiak's got to be wondering, who am I going to get to play quarterback when the postseason comes around?
Well, as you and I know, Greg, he's got a pretty good replacement for Arian Foster and Ben Tate.
This is Daniel Thomas, the rookie. And he loses yardage on the play. Let's go back to that touchdown.
Yeah, let's take a look at it. You know, it's an I formation. It's a heavy run. Here's Keller right here. But, you know, this is just a classic run formation. But watch when Sanchez comes out of here. There's Keller faking the block and just releases. Let me tell you, there's not a high school team in America that doesn't run this play. It's one of the basic staples of goal line offense. And the Jets ran it easily, and the Dolphins chose to defend it really poorly.
Only the
Or as in not at all.
Only the second first quarter touchdown Miami's defense has allowed in the last 10 games.
And that is, I'm sure Mike Nolan, their defensive coordinator, unhappy with that mental error.
On 2nd and 12, this is Steve Slayton straight ahead. And out across the 15 to the 16-yard line where David Harris makes the stop, and that's not an unusual happening. Boy, we couldn't hear enough and talk enough about how David Harris just absolutely should be a Pro Bowler, Dan.
Well, he's led this team in tackles, I think 4 of the last 5 years. He's got 5 sacks. He's got 4 interceptions. And, I know Ray Lewis got voted to the Pro Bowl. Ray missed 4 games, and you can't take anything away from what Ray Lewis has done. But it's kind of hard to argue that David Harris hasn't had a better season than Ray Lewis has had.
On 3rd and 5, Moore with time throws, and that's going to come up short of first down yardage. So Fasano So off the kick, the field position should favor the New York Jets.
And a good series that time by, this is now exactly what this looks like the old Jets. Good touchdown drive and the defense swarming, forcing a 3-and-out.
So Curley back at his own 25-yard line. And he will let it fall. And it'll take a bit of a Miami roll inside the 45 and out of bounds at about the 43-yard line. 7-3 Jets. Welcome back to Miami on this New Year's Day. 3.5 minutes to play in the first quarter. The Jets with the ball and a 7-3 lead. And Mark Sanchez, who put the ball up an awful lot of times last week. LaDainian Tomlinson straight ahead across the 45 to the 46-yard line. And Mark told us yesterday, well, he said, we run the ball well in spurts, but not nearly as consistent as the coaches or the players would like.
No, and we talked to Nick Mangold, and he echoed the same thing. He used the term rhythm. He said, we just, as an offensive line and a running game, we just haven't found our rhythm. I remember talking to Rex early in the season. He said, we didn't run it well in the preseason either. This has been a problem from the day they got to camp.
On 2nd and 8, Sanchez will put it in the air here. Short pass across midfield to Dustin Keller. And that's one of the things that Sanchez said they want to do is make some connections underneath and maybe let some things break.
Well, he is always going to be looking for number 81. And he's looking to the left, and you can see he comes back because Keller flashes into his sight coming across from right to left. Initially, Mark Sanchez was working the left side of the field, so he did his progressions and came down to find Keller.
Sanchez now looking at a 3rd and 3.
Hey, Ligon.
And here come the Dolphins. Sanchez got rid of it on the outside, right through the hands of the rookie Jeremy Curley.
Well, Will Allen was right behind Jeremy Curley, and Mark Sanchez, let's take a look at this pass from behind. It's a blitz read, but he delivers a very catchable ball to Jeremy Curley. Yeah, it was hot, but that's the way it is in the National Football League.
Devon Bess. Fair catch called for and made at his own 9-yard line. Wants a flag for having been bumped slightly, but there is none forthcoming. While we have the opportunity, keep your fantasy football season going with Playoff Challenge and compete against the nation for a chance to win $5,000. Sign up now at cbsports.com/challenge.
Well, I think that's Darren Rizzi, the special teams coordinator of the Dolphins. He's talking about fair catch interference. You're supposed to stay a yard away from the players, and Marquise Cole he thought violated that distance.
Meanwhile, first down from the 9 and more to throw. Short one over the middle, out to about the 12 with the rookie Daniel Thomas.
Yeah, here it is right here, and you're right. He's got his hand. He is, let's say, he's inside the safe zone. Yeah, there's no contact, and he was off to the side, so he wasn't interfering with his vision.
He was even inside the cone of silence.
Yes, he was inside the circle of love or light or whatever you want to call it. He was.
On 2nd and 6, quick pass out to the far side to Brandon Marshall, and Marshall out across the 20 to the 21 and a first down.
Well, that's what Brandon Marshall has done his entire 6-year career. After the catch, he is maybe one of the most, if not the most formidable runner in the NFL. And just, this is nothing but lowering your shoulder and taking on Eric Smith. You don't see many wide receivers that are willing to just drop it, drop that shoulder like a running back and power right through a potential tackler. Of course, it helps when you're 6'4", 230.
Revis on Marshall at the top of your screen. More to throw. This side of the field for Hartline. It is intercepted by Cromartie. at the 43-yard line.
Well, on an underthrown pass like that, you end up seeing it be completed a lot. But the reason it's completed is because the defender doesn't see the football. He's playing the receiver. That time, Antonio Cromartie is playing the quarterback and the football all the way. And he becomes the receiver because he's got inside position on Brian Hartline. Great job by Cromartie of awareness. And Matt Moore should have realized that Cromartie was playing the football and never let that one go.
Cromartie with his 4th interception of the year. Jets with the ball at the Miami 43.
Kill! Marty!
And we get a false start on the right side of the Jet line.
False start. Offense, number 82. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Mulligan, the tight end, gave a quiver over there at the tight end position. And again, pre-snap penalties drive coaches crazy. And yeah, Matt Moore, you see that pass completed all the time because you see only one of the two guys reacts back to the pass, and it's the receiver.
This is Sean Green. And Green back inside the 45 to the 44-yard line. As you look at Sean Green, you wonder, is he going to be the Jet running back of the future? There is certainly, as you mentioned earlier, Dan, been a lot of questions about whether or not LaDainian Tomlinson will be back next season.
Well, you know, in reality, he's the running back of now because he's their primary ball carrier, but LT does so many things. He's so good in the passing game. In the locker room, he's a 10. They'd like to have him back, but it depends on the price.
We played one here in Miami, 7-3 Jets. We're coming back to Sun Life Stadium right after this. You are watching the NFL on CBS. Offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer, who has certainly been in the line of fire at times this season and certainly this past week because of the overabundance of passes last week against the New York Giants, and he and the rest of the staff swore left, right, up, and down that it wouldn't take place this weekend.
Well, I don't think he wants to have to defend himself against that again.
Second and 10. Sanchez, sideline, and falling down to the ground, slipping on his cut is Santonio Holmes. And now a complaint to the official. But
at least the Jets are forcing the ball downfield a little bit and not just settling for dump-offs. And Plexico Burris now out onto the field. And if I'm Brian Schottenheimer, Burris not involved in anything in the first quarter, wasn't even targeted. Maybe it's time to get him involved.
Santonio Holmes to the near side of the field. Burris to the far top, and Curley in the slot. Sanchez, under pressure, escapes. Looking, and runs it out of bounds.
Well, that's Mark Sanchez salvaging something out of this, but at the very end, I think shows a little maturity in not trying to force this football into the middle of the field. He doesn't have anybody, and that's smart football. And I know it's not glamorous to punt, but that's smart football. Protect the football, complete passes. That was his job description today, what he wanted to do.
Devon Bess will call for a fair catch here, and they get it about the 21-yard line. 14:19 to play in the first half. Sanchez and the Jets up 7-3. On this beautiful New Year's Day, aerial coverage of our game today provided by MetLife. Happy 2012, everyone.
Wow, is it really possible 2012?
On the 21-yard line. This is Steve Slayton up the middle. 35, 40, still on his feet, almost to midfield. What a burst by Steve Slayton.
Wow, that's how you run the ball on first down effectively. What a great job by this Miami offensive line. Check it out. Vernon Carey at right guard. Then there's a nice lead block inside. And man, geez, that's really nice. Lex Hilliard with a good lead block and then a couple good moves downfield. And again, missed tackles. Darrelle Revis finally has to come in and wrap up.
This is Slayton again. Across midfield to the 49, and another update from the guys in New York, JB and Boomer.
An incentive for a 49ers win, Boom.
They win, they get the number 2 seed. Watch this. Darren Dierdorf will love this. Downfield blocking for a scrambling Alex Smith. Justin Peel, 81 and 21. Frank Gore spring their quarterback. 7-7 game tied in St. Louis as they start the second quarter.
Dierdorf did hurt a few people in his day, did he not?
Yes, he did.
All right, back to Greg and Dan.
It's just that not a lot of those people were downfield. That was a great effort. You're right, guys. Good stuff.
On 2nd and 8, once again, here's Daniel Thomas, the rookie. And he is stood up at about the 47-yard line. This offensive line playing without that Pro Bowl left tackle, Jake Long, who tore his right biceps at New England last week.
Well, Jake, his 4th year in the league, has been elected to the Pro Bowl every year that he's been in the league, and the first overall draft pick back in 08. He has delivered for the Miami Dolphins, but geez, you play all season. He's had some back troubles and some various injury. What a disappointing way to end the 11th season.
Moore now on 3rd and 5. Quick pass. He's got his man inside the 40. No,
ball's out.
Incomplete. Fasano had it and lost it.
Well, I think he lost it because he got stripped by a good defensive play. I think David Harris single-handedly took that away. He's just sitting there in zone, but David Harris comes in with the right hand. Watch his right hand come in right here and just poke the ball right out. And then that's on purpose. You can even see the flick of the wrist as he knocked it out of Fasano's hands. Nice work.
So Curley back again. And he will let this one bounce. And it bounces out of bounds. And it bounces out of bounds at about the 18-yard line.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon, your 4G LTE smartphone destination. FedEx, we understand. You need reliable shipping solutions. FedEx. And by Jaguar. See the new model year lineup at JaguarUSA.com.
A few of the sights in and around the area here in South Florida as we're back to play. First down from the 18-yard line. Green. And we have a penalty marker down on the far side of the field. Looks like an offsides against Miami.
Offside. Defense, number 97, in the neutral zone at the snap. 5-yard penalty. Replay, first down.
As we outlined earlier, the Jets need all of these things to happen in order to reach the postseason. They need a win here. They need a Tennessee loss to Houston, and right now the Titans are trailing 7-3. They need a Cincinnati loss to Baltimore, and they need either an Oakland or a Denver loss later today.
Interesting thing about Tennessee and Houston, Craig, is Houston has absolutely nothing to play for.
False start. Offense, number 60. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
So the Jets get a little gift, and then they give it right back.
Yeah, you see Rex kind of shaking his head. And again, pre-snap penalties are the worst. It's just lack of focus and concentration. And that's where Mark Sanchez wants Jason Taylor to stay.
Sean Green. Just over the 20-yard line.
So again, let's see the Jets try to hammer away. And you take a look, you just don't see a lot of the white shirts being moved off the football. In reality, at the point of attack off left guard, the Jets were actually giving ground.
On 2nd and 8, Green straight ahead this time to about the 24. But this Jet team has not run the ball the way fans are used to seeing them run it.
I mean, look at this graphic. In 09, they ran the ball 187 times more than their opponents. In 10, 126 times. And amazingly, in 2011, through 15 games, the Jets are being outrushed both in attempts and yardage by their opponents. That is such a transformation.
Not pound and ground.
No, it is not.
34. Sanchez steps up, throwing for Curley, and he's got it. Curley to midfield. And down at about the 46 of the Miami Dolphins.
Well, there's a laser from Mark Sanchez. And again, this Jeremy Curley has come so far. He's a natural slot receiver, but look how he reacts to the football, and Will Allen isn't able to. Will Allen isn't able to curb his momentum. He ends up actually going to the ground. Jeremy Curley, what a rookie this kid is, and what a good player.
This is Sean Green, and Green inside the 40 to about the 36, and very close to another first down.
You know, I want to go back to Jeremy Curley for a minute. What a lot of production from a 5th-round draft pick. He's a natural slot receiver, and he is just going to be around the New York Jets for a long time. You know, we've already seen him throw a pass out of the Seminole formation. And he is just one of those guys that does everything but drive the bus to the ballpark.
Easy.
On 2nd and 1, this is Green. And looks like he'll be short of the first down.
He was never able to get his shoulders upfield at all. Oh. Take a look at this. You're going to see right here he makes his decision to try to get outside, but he was never able to get his hips and his shoulders headed upfield. Vontae Davis came in with a good tackle down low. My old college coach used to say, keep the long axes of your body perpendicular to the goal line.
Green has the first down inside the 35 to the 33.
You understand that concept, Greg? Keeping the long axes of your body perpendicular to the goal line.
I hated math.
North and south, that's what it means. Don't go sideways. All right, let's look at this surge by the Jets. Here comes John Connor. Really nice job by Connor getting right in there on Rashad Jones.
But that's been the problem with the Mets, with the Jets. It hasn't been consistent.
No, it hasn't been consistent, but that was a good power conversion. And yeah, I think that's the balance in the play selection that the Jets fans are looking for Brian Schottenheimer.
And Damian Tomlinson back into the backfield.
Oh, we had another movement on the left side of the Jets offensive line. Question is, were they drawn?
False start.
Nope.
Offense, number 82. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Well, Matthew Mulligan, he's on the left-hand side there at the very left of your screen. It's just a shift by the Dolphins, and he's not able to hold it together.
And Jason Taylor becomes a member of the Jets backfield. 1st and 15.
Rex Ryan's got to be a little weary of these false starts.
Tomlinson to the 36.
Well, Rex told us that we are going to have a commitment to running the football tomorrow. And I know they're stout, and I know they're difficult to run against. And even if we don't have a lot of success, that's not going to deter us. And I'll say so far in this game, they are true to what Rex told us.
And we get more.
It looks like Mark Sanchez that time. Was that just a good hard count?
Encroachment, defense, number 70. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Well, credit that one all to Mark Sanchez. Listen to this. This is what you call a hard count. And you know that Langford was only about 2 feet from Mark Sanchez, and that voice inflection was enough to get him to go. We have seen some sloppy play here with snap counts on both sides of the line of scrimmage.
Wildcat formation again. Jeremy Curley lines up, and now we get a timeout. So the Jets call a timeout. Coming up on 6 minutes to play in the first half. Hey, if you thought the fantasy season was over, it is not. PlayNFL.com Playoff Challenge today. You can win a trip to Super Bowl 47 in New Orleans. Sign up for free at NFL.com/fantasy.
The Dolphins have confirmed that inside linebacker Carlos Dansby, he does have a groin injury. His return is questionable. He's standing right there on the sidelines. He's not holding a helmet or anything.
Meanwhile, back to the Wildcat offense for the Jets. Jeremy Curley calling signals and hands it off to Sean Green, and Green inside the 25 to the 21 and a first down.
Well, one thing about Brian Schottenheimer, when you really legitimize this formation, when the first time you run it, Curley completes a pass downfield. You can't get the defense just crowding the line of scrimmage thinking that this is strictly a run formation. That's a great way to set up however many times you choose to run the Wildcat.
Now Sanchez and the Jets from the Miami 21.
Burris and Holmes need to get involved in this game a little bit.
And all kinds of movement. This one looks like it'll go against Wayne Hunter.
Offense, number 78. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
I'll tell you what's hard to believe about this.
You look befuddled, Dan.
Well, you know, sometimes in a stadium where the noise is so deafening that, you know, you really do have problems hearing the quarterback. This is a relatively, there's a lot of empty seats here in this stadium today, and this crowd isn't exactly making a lot of noise. These guys don't have an excuse for their penalties on the line of scrimmage. This is hard. Yeah, this is hardly Three River Stadium with the terrible towels waving.
Jets use their second timeout. 5:23 to play in the first half.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. And by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Back at Sun Life Stadium. 5:23 to play in the first half.
Jeremy Curley is the only Jets wide receiver with a catch.
No, I got slip.
And Santonio Holmes in motion across the field, and the handoff goes to Tomlinson and LaDainian inside the 20 to about the 18-yard line.
Well, good first down play there. Much more manageable second down after that nice pickup by Tomlinson. And you can see that between the two of them, Santonio has been targeted once, and that's it. All Burris has been doing is either being a decoy or left out of the mix.
Second and 7. Sanchez, straight drop over the middle, complete to the 15-yard line to his tight end, Keller.
Well, there's no question that ever since Mark Sanchez got here 3 years ago, he and Dustin Keller have formed a really close relationship. They're great friends. They spend a lot of time together in the offseason working together. Keller went out to California a number of times this year to work with Sanchez during the lockout. And I'll tell you, when you start at first and 15, having a third and 4 is a good result. And my gosh, another false start by DeBrickashaw Ferguson.
False start. Offense, number 60. 5-yard penalty, still third down.
You know, Dan, you and I were kind of half joking about this during the timeout, but it's like, aren't you in the huddle? Aren't you listening to what's being called?
Well, this is embarrassing. With everything that's at stake for the Jets, knowing to have any chance to get in the playoffs, they got to win this game. To have that kind of a lack of concentration is really disappointing.
We're banging.
3rd and 9. Sanchez, quick pass to the 15-yard line. Burris, his first catch of the day. And he's out of bounds at the 14.
And you can give a little room as long as you come up and make the play, and the good tackle here by Sean Smith. And even though a good stiff arm by Burris, Sean Smith fights right through it. Sean Smith, a big corner, 6'3", 214. He knew he had some room to give.
So Nick Folk will now line up a 31-yard field goal attempt.
Those false starts forced this field goal.
And the kick is on its way and good. So as we come up on 3.5 minutes to play here in the first half, the Jets extend their lead to 10-3 in a game they absolutely have to win.
Well, we've been talking about Jeremy Curley, and nobody can say there's been anything disappointing about his first half. Out of the old Wildcat formation, the Seminole, a nice throw downfield to Matthew Mulligan. That was for 41 yards, and then playing his natural position of wide receiver. Good catch, makes people miss, and then he comes in, conventional handoff to Sean Green. Jeremy Curley is doing everything today.
He has been a real godsend for this Jets team that lost a key component of their offense last year in Brad Smith, who signed with Buffalo.
Absolutely right, and when he came on, Greg, it became more accomplished as a wide receiver. It allowed the Jets to trade Derek Mason to Houston, which they did back in October. That was directly because Jeremy Curley deserved the playing time. And, you know, when you dislodge a guy like Derek Mason as a rookie, that you ought to get a pat on the back.
Meanwhile, the bad news for the Jets, Tennessee has scored and has taken the lead against the Houston Texans. The Jets needing a win here, and one of the other things they need today is a Tennessee loss to the Houston Texans.
And they know very well the Texans have nothing to play for. They are the number 3 seed in the AFC. Win or lose that game today against Tennessee.
Steve Slayton will not run this one out of the end zone. It'll be downed, and for that update, let's send you back to New York once again. JB and Boomer.
Boomer, Tennessee still with slim hopes.
Well, Matt Hasselbeck's going to find Donnie Avery right here for a 1-yard touchdown run pass. They're going to take the lead. TJ Yates, quarterback for Houston, is out. This touchdown came after a Jake DeLong fumble, who is in for TJ Yates at quarterback for Houston.
Greg and Dan.
Thank you, guys.
Say one thing about the Houston Texans. What they've overcome this year, Matt Schaub getting hurt, Andre Johnson getting hurt,
Mario
Williams out for the year, and yet they persevered. Well done.
From the 20-yard line, Moore to throw. Incomplete. Broken up by Darrelle Revis.
Oh, and Darrelle Revis, that was so close to being intercepted. He got both hands on the football. I mean, this is just great stuff. Look at Revis looking all the way in. I mean, he's playing the receiver, but he's also playing the quarterback and the football. And that was really close to a Revis interception. He just makes it so effortless. There is no wasted body movement. Such an economy of motion.
Todd Bowles told us yesterday Revis has great catch-up speed.
And the other thing we talked about with Revis and other coaches, they talk about his patience. He doesn't, you know, you can make all sorts of jukes and moves in front of him, and he doesn't move.
And a little pushing and shoving. Number 71, Mark Colombo, was involved.
I don't see a flag. Maybe the officials are able to get everybody moving out. That means they didn't see anybody throw a punch. You can push and you can shove as long as it's not overly blatant, but the minute a punch is thrown, then you're going to get flagged and probably shown the door.
So it's 3rd and 6 for Moore.
Ryan 30.
throwing off the hands of his intended receiver, and it took a bounce.
Well, he's trying to get the ball to Brian Hartline. All right, here's Hartline working against Cromartie. Again, Cromartie's on him. Really nice coverage. And the ball it looked like it surprised Hartline. When he turned, I think the ball ate him up. It was there in a hurry. Good coverage that time by Antonio Cromartie.
Fasano was the last second attempt before the ball hit the ground. Curley is deep for the punt. And Curley will return this one from his own 16-yard line. Spinning out of trouble at the 25 and ahead to the 30. Sunday, January 15, Undercover Boss returns with new challenges and huge rewards. 2 weeks from tonight, Undercover Boss only, CBS.
Man, I saw that bottle of wine drop there. I'm going, oh no, that's just wrong. It is an absolutely perfect day in South Florida.
Thank you.
The humidity, I know you live here. Bob Fishman, our director, he lives here too. But we're no humidity. It is a nice way to ring in the new year.
The handoff is to Sean Green, and Green down at about the 28-yard line. Loss of 2 on the play. And that will probably take us to the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to play in the first half. The Jets in a game they absolutely have to have. Lead at 10-3. Jeremy Curley has thrown that one pass and made the most of it, but Mark Sanchez, terrific completion percentage, but not for very much yardage.
And of those 63 yards, remember 30 of them came on the completion to Curley. So other than that one pass downfield to Curley, a lot of short stuff by Mark Sanchez.
2nd and 11. Sanchez under the gun.
Oh, I think he was still in the pocket. Was there a receiver anywhere nearby? He's got to hope that LT was close enough. That's what the officials are talking about right now. There's no question that he was inside the tackle box when he just threw that into the ground. Now there's LT on his right. LT is actually getting held up and trying to release.
There is no foul for intentional grounding. Number 21 was in the screen trying to get out into the play. Third down.
You know, that's why the officials get together, and that's exactly what happened. LaDainian Tomlinson is trying to release. There he is. Here he is right here, just to the right of Sanchez, and he is getting held up right there. Mitchell is pushing him backwards. Good thing LT was relatively close by. That was a pretty smart play by Sanchez.
So now he's looking at a 3rd and 11. He needs the 40-yard line for a first down. Sideline. Too far behind the sliding Plexico Burris.
Well, I think the intent here is to throw a back shoulder pass to Plexico Burris, but that ball was just really poorly thrown. That's not giving your guy an opportunity to make a play on it at all. That was a misfire by a good 3 yards.
And not the first time we've seen a receiver slip and fall today.
Well, the slipping and falling, that was only because he was trying to react to a ball he had no chance of catching.
Devon Bess, their catch called for and made it to the 25-yard line. So as Sanchez talks it over on the sideline, we'll remind you coming up, the Sprint halftime report. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, Coach Bill Cowher. Latest NFL scores, highlights, playoff scenarios, all coming up on the Sprint halftime report.
Jason Tresnick comes in there and was just inches away from blocking that punt by Conley.
Meanwhile, Houston and Tennessee are now tied at 10 apiece. This is Daniel Thomas. out to about the 29-yard line. Thomas getting a lot of work today in replace of Reggie Bush, who was sidelined for today's game with a knee injury. Deep down the sideline, Hartline can't make the catch.
Oh, he had it. What a beautiful pass by Matt Moore. And again, Brian Hartline surprises corners in his ability to get past them. You know, he doesn't have the reputation as a real burner. He gets away with a slight push-off against Cromartie, but he has the ball come right off his arms. And that could have been called a push-off. Right there, he gets separation from Cromartie by shoving off. And that's a pass that Brian Hartline normally catches. But that easily could have been flagged as well.
The kind of play the Dolphins have specialized in this season. They get big yardage plays. Moore throwing the other way. And this one is complete to Bess, and Bess has a first down just across the 35. Clock continues to move, coming up on a minute to play.
Yeah, Greg, you wouldn't think that of the Miami offense, that they specialize in chunky yardage like that. Second in the league, 25-plus plays, 25-yard plays behind Green Bay.
Moore running out of time and goes down to the 27. Number 30, Donald Strickland with the hit.
And the Jets, you see, have already burned a couple timeouts. They only have one remaining, so they really don't have much of a chance to use timeouts in an effort to get the ball back.
Coming up on a half minute to play. Moore going to go deep again for Hartline, and this one is intercepted. Picked off at the 45-yard line by Brodney Poole.
Well, Brodney Poole doing exactly what he's supposed to do. Net coverage, he's the safety with the deep outside. And he comes and reacts right over the top to a ball that's overthrown. And he becomes the receiver. Hartline becomes the defender. And does that ball bounce off the ground? He certainly has control of it as he ends up out of bounds.
Poole with his first interception of this season.
Keep in mind it's inside 2 minutes. That would be up to the official upstairs to challenge it.
Sanchez steps away from trouble and runs it out of bounds. 17 seconds on the clock. Meanwhile, Nick Folk staying loose on the sideline.
He's got a 51-yarder to his credit so far this season. So you're looking at him getting down there somewhere around the 37, 38-yard line. That would give him a kick in the mid-50s.
Quick, quick, quick. Money, money. Bam, 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 bam.
16
money,
seconds on the clock.
Money, money. Money.
Sanchez intercepted. Picked off at the 40-yard line by Randy Starks.
Well, again, Mark Sanchez, I think his original intent was to try to go downfield. Finding nothing, then he just tries to dump it off to LT, who's flashing in front of him, and he just doesn't think that a defensive lineman is going to be able to jump up and get it. That's a pretty nice set of hands by Randy Stark. Yep, and that's in your own end of the field. Now we'll see what the Dolphins can do with 9 seconds here. They can do a quick pass and get down there inside the 30 or so.
They have 3 timeouts remaining. Moore pulls it down, looking, and throwing on the sideline, incomplete, intended for Marshall with 2 seconds to play.
Well, great job by the Jets defense of forcing Matt Moore into having to scramble around, burn up clock, and ultimately not be able to find anybody open. Because this is going to be a long kick now. That was really well done by the Jets D.
Dan Carpenter has a 51-yarder this season. He is going to line this one up from 58 yards out. goodness.
Did he knock the cover off of that thing?
Room to spare.
We're at sea level here, folks.
Room to spare.
We are not in Denver. That was a monster blast off the right foot of Dan Carpenter. What a kick.
So they saved 3 points at the end of the first half. Rex Ryan's not pleased. 10-6 Jets. Sprint halftime report. After this message and a word from your local station. It is intercepted by Cromartie. Sanchez throws. Touchdown.
Doesn't get much easier than that.
Back at Sun Life Stadium in Miami, there's our halftime score. The Jets leading Miami by a score of 10-6. Let's take a look at the Droid Razor play presented by Motorola.
Well, Greg, it's the only touchdown of the game down inside the 5-yard line. Look at this nice rollout by Mark Sanchez, and then the Miami defense totally disregards Dustin Keller, his tight end. But again, the Jets had some success running the football on that drive, and that's why that play action was effective.
Greg Gumbel along with Dan Deerdorf. Happy New Year to you, everyone, from all of us here at CBS Sports. Let's assess Mark Sanchez so far in the first half. What do you think?
Well, he's been inaccurate on a couple throws. He's made some good throws. He's moved around pretty well, but, he made the mistake at the very end of the half that cost his team 3 points. He's missed some open people, but he's, up until that point, Greg, until that interception, he'd been smart with the football in not throwing into coverage. But he's had a couple open guys that he has missed. We saw that one where he severely underthrew Burris, and there was the one right at the end of the first half that resulted in a Miami field goal that might have been good from I don't know where.
No, we have seen a concerted effort by the Jets to run the football today.
Yes, yeah, they've got very good balance going today. Brian Schottenheimer in that regard is, I think, very, to be commended. But again, this is a Miami team that has given up a lot of yards through the air.
This is Clyde Gates as Miami gets the football first here in the second half, and he returns it back out to about the 23-yard line.
Well, again, for the Jets, all the other scenarios are moot if they don't beat Miami here today. I mean, I'm sure that they're up to speed on what's happening. And we've got a New York Jet down on the ground, Patrick Turner. He's up now.
So once again, the Jets have to win here today, have Tennessee lose to Houston. Right now, at halftime, that isn't happening. They also need a Cincinnati loss to the Ravens, and they need an Oakland loss or a Denver loss.
Now, those 3 games at the bottom all are taking place later this afternoon. The Titans are kind of in a similar position to the Jets. They have to win their game against Houston, and then they need a whole series of events to happen for them to have an opportunity to sneak in. The interesting thing is for the Jets is that if they were to get in, they would get in as the number 6 seed, which would send them to Houston. So Houston's looking at Tennessee and going, well, wait a minute. If we beat Tennessee, that means we've got to face the Jets. I'm not sure that I know the Jets aren't playing great football right now. I wouldn't want anything to do with them in the playoffs, seeing that they seem to become a different team in the playoffs.
You and I were in agreement last night when we talked about this, that you would classify the New York Jets as a very dangerous playoff team.
Well, you just look at their record, how well they play on the road. The last couple of years, they've certainly demonstrated that.
So from the 24-yard line, Moore going to start it off with a handoff to Steve Slaton, who had a terrific first half.
Good job there by Sione Boua, and who has really made his mark there. We've got 2 talented nose tackles in this game, Boua for the Jets and Paul Soliai for the Dolphins. Have couple of premier players in there. When you are the nose tackle on a 3-4 football team, nothing very glamorous about your job. You are as blue-collar gets.
On 2nd and 9, this is the rookie, Daniel Thomas, and Thomas to about the 27-yard line. You know, we hear the term pride tossed around an awful lot, Dan, but it certainly has to come into play on the final day of the regular season for a team that doesn't have any playoff hopes whatsoever.
And this is a football team, and Todd Bowles, their interim coach, reminded them that in the finale last season, they had to play the New England Patriots, and they turned in a miserable performance. It was embarrassing. And that was brought up to these Miami Dolphins all week this week, that we are not going to close out the season the way we did it a year ago. And they played hard to this point.
Moore on the crossing pattern to Brandon Marshall, but he is going to be well short of a first down.
Well, that had no chance of going anywhere. The Jets took away everything deep, and they would concede that short pass any day of the week. Brandon Marshall actually caught that ball about a yard beyond the line of scrimmage.
So that's Jeremy Curley back at his own 15-yard line. Curley backed all the way up inside his 10-yard line, shakes one tackler there, and back to about the 20-yard line. 12:40 to play in the third quarter. That's Santonio Holmes. Not a single reception today. Is he going to be a part of this game before it's over? It's what we've been talking about. Neither Plaxico Burress nor Santonio Holmes has been very much a part of this offense the first part of this football game.
I don't think it's a state secret that Mark Sanchez doesn't scare people outside the numbers or deep.
LaDainian Tomlinson straight ahead to about the 25-yard line where Kevin Burnett makes the stop.
I think with this full offseason coming up, and if Brian Schottenheimer returns and the offensive staff remains intact, I'm sure that they have got to spend, and they are going to spend a lot of time working on this Jets passing game from the numbers to the sidelines and down the field. That is not anywhere close to Mark Sanchez's strong suit.
And LT once again, right side, lots of yardage, out of bounds at the 35-yard line. On that last carry, LaDainian Tomlinson passed Jerome Bettis and has become the NFL's 5th all-time leading rusher.
And again, great blocking up front. And to be able to break contain as easily as that. But you could see when LaDainian Tomlinson is out in the open, he still has, he's not going to run away from people. But he's still got darn good speed.
On first down, LT again. And the question is not, LaDainian wants to come back. Does he want to come back at minimum salary? No. Do the Jets want to pay him any more than that? That's the question that remains to be answered.
No, they're going to have to make a decision about, how much production are we going to get from Joe McKnight. They need people to fill that third role.
Bam!
I think LT's got too much pride to play for the veterans minimum.
Quick pass out here is complete to Dustin Keller, and Keller across midfield and into Miami territory at the 48-yard line for a Jet first down.
A nice move there by Dustin Keller. He's not as big as Gronkowski or some of those monster tight ends, but watch this little, that is nice. That was Kevin, that was Burnett that went flying right by there, and again, Burnett, he just assumed that he was going to be able to, that wasn't a tackle, that was more like a block, but he assumed that there was no way Keller could change direction that quickly.
This is Sean Green. And penalty markers fly as Green goes down at the 46-yard line.
Personal foul grabbing the face mask. Offense, number 82. 15-yard penalty. Replay, first down.
That'll be tight end Mulligan.
This has been a tough game for Matthew Mulligan. Penalty-wise, I think that's his third penalty of the day. There he is right there. Oh, and he's just grabbed Cameron Wake and almost twisted his helmet clear off. Ooh, there's face mask penalties that are, you know, you could see where they were inadvertent. He had a hold of Cameron Wake, and he wasn't going to let go no matter what.
Word from Houston is that the Texans and the Titans are now tied at 13 apiece. Again, the Jets need Tennessee to be on the short end of that score by the end of the day. First and 25. Sanchez to Keller. Keller shakes one tackler and makes it out to about the 45.
Well, the leading receiver for the Jets is Dustin Keller. Here's Santonio Holmes. He's locked up here with Vontae Davis. And he was never a primary receiver on that play. This was intended all the way for Keller. But again, yards after the catch, he makes somebody miss.
Second and 17.
But I would try to stretch the field. Take a shot.
LT. Take a shot, yeah, Dan. You'd have to wonder why at least they haven't been involved in the offense to this point.
Well, you know, it's a case where, you know, they don't have a world-class speed burner. You know, Burris is never going to run past somebody, but Santonio Holmes is a guy that can get deep for you. And again, it's a running play all the way. They're just blocking, but you know, you got to try to run a deep post or a deep out or something to Holmes.
Here's the Wildcat, and the handoff is to Green straight ahead.
Yeah, so let's punt. That was a conservative trio of plays, but that's what a first and 25 will do for you because of that face mask penalty on Matthew Mulligan.
So that's Devon Best back at his own 10-yard line. And T.J. Conley to punt it away. Best will let this one bounce, and instead it's down inside the 5-yard line. Isaiah Trufant with the special teams play. 10-6 Jets.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Autotrader.com. Now find brand spanking new cars and special offers on Autotrader.com. And by Pizza Hut. Right now, get any pizza for just $10 only at your Pizza Hut.
Well, it's been a mostly ineffective Miami offense, and they will start now from about their own 6-yard line. And Steve Slayton in the backfield behind Matt Moore.
101 yards of total offense through 2.5 quarters. That's not good.
This is Slayton. And he's going to lose yardage back to the 3. Muhammad Wilkerson, first man into the backfield.
And a lot of expectations on that guy's shoulders. Their #1 pick out of Temple. And again, it's all about penetration, getting upfield, beating the block, and that's exactly what he just knifes inside John Jerry, the left tackle playing in place of Jake Long. Excellent work of getting upfield by Wilkerson. He is, talking about Wilkerson, he is green. He has got a lot to learn, but boy, he's got an upside.
On second and 12, Moore will throw out in his end zone. And up to the 5-yard line to Pisano, the tight end. Ball came loose, but he's ruled down at the 6. Or the 7.
There was a contested completion. Rodney Poole and Anthony Pisano. Now that's two guys going after it.
Rodney Poole may be out to prove something. I think the whole world has seen the footage from him a week ago.
I think he's probably, if I was Rodney Poole, I would have stopped watching television. He got run over by Ahmad Bradshaw last week in one of the... That's Reggie Bush, who's a spectator today for the Dolphins.
Moore on 3rd and 9, going to throw the other way. This is Bess, and Bess spinning away from trouble on the sideline and out to the 24-yard line.
Well, there's Matt Moore working between the numbers and the sidelines, and he throws a really nice strike to Devon Bess. Here comes pressure up the middle, well blocked by the Miami front, and Matt Moore delivers a really on-time spiral right onto the hands of Devon Bess. And Devon Bess, one of the better receivers in the league after the catch. He's only 5'10", but he is powerful, and he's able to fight off a would-be tackle.
Undrafted out of the University of Hawaii. First down from the 24, Moore to throw again. On the move, throws, Hartline has it at the 35. That will be another Miami first down.
And Matt Moore buys all this time, but Brian Hartline really helps out his quarterback because, man, does he come back. Does he come back to fight. He is way downfield. I bet you Hartline comes back 15 yards to make a target. I mean, right now he's got nothing, but here comes Hartline, and he beats Cromartie on the way back to the football. That was just good work by Moore and excellent hustle by his receiver.
On first down, Daniel Thomas, the rookie, to about the 37, maybe the 38. Kenrick Ellis, the rookie out of Hampton, with the tackle.
A lot of talent over on that Miami sideline. That's Jake Long, torn biceps, has sidelined him. 4 Pro Bowls in 4 years. And Reggie Bush stayed healthy this year, Greg.
Dan, I was talking with him outside of the complex yesterday, and he gave those 2-wheel rollers with segways to his linemen in thanks for his 1,000-yard rushing season.
You know, he stayed healthy all season until the 15th game when he injured his knee last week, and he's not able to go today. We asked Todd Bowles, how serious is it? He said, well, he would be iffy if we were in the playoffs and had to play next week. There'd be a chance. So it's not serious enough that it requires surgery or something like that.
I think Reggie Bush proved a lot of things to a lot of people this year. There were folks who were beginning to think that he couldn't be an every down back.
Right. Lucy, hey, I was one of them. I didn't think he could be.
On 3rd and 3, Moore throws, and that is complete just across the 45-yard line to Fasano for a first down.
Well, the other thing about Reggie Bush, Greg, was, you know, that his running, not the 1,000 yards, it's nice, but a 5-yard per carry average. That's a sweet spot for a running back.
And now David Harris is down on the field. And the clock is stopped with 3:52 to play in the third quarter. David Harris limped slowly off the field and is being looked at on the sidelines. Number 53, Josh Monga, has replaced him at inside linebacker. First down for the Dolphins, now at their own 46.
They're looking at Harris's right leg.
This is Thomas, the rookie, and nothing doing there.
Well, it didn't take long for Mr. Monga to get in on the action there. Well, now we've got a Miami player who's down on a knee, and their training staff comes out. That's Richie Incognito, their left guard.
It was hard to tell who it was at first because he's incognito. Thank you. 2nd and 9 when they do resume play.
That was the most token of chuckles.
Meanwhile, there is JT. You know, how decisive was he, Dan, when we asked him yesterday, is there any chance midsummer you'll get the hunger again and you'll want to play?
And no, he said no. He said I don't want to be Brett Favre and come back and quit and come back and quit. He said I'm really planning on staying away. And he realizes how fortunate he is. He's leaving the game with his health. He's really never had a really serious blown out knee or anything like that. So, and let me tell you something, Jason Taylor, he's got a lot of opportunities awaiting him outside the world of the National Football League.
And much love here in Miami. Moore under pressure. throws it away. Let's get an update from JB and Boomer in our NFL Today studios in New York, guys.
Breeze is unreal.
Unbelievable. Third touchdown pass of the game. 44th touchdown pass of the season. He's got 13 games of 300 yards or more this season. That's an NFL record. It just doesn't stop there. And it looks like they're going to get the number 3 seed as San Francisco is taking care of business against St. Louis.
Ah, boy, what a year. Greg and Dan.
Hey guys, Drew Brees' name came up in our conversations with the New York Jets last night. We'll tell you about that in a second. Lex Hilliard in the backfield. Moore, complete. That's a first down inside the 45 to Brandon Marshall.
And that time Brandon Marshall coming all the way across on a crossing pattern. And Darrelle Revis is half a step or so behind. And Brandon Marshall executes one of the quickest stops of all time. Check that out as he throws out the air brakes and tries to do a 180 and come the other direction. That's a little athleticism involved right there, folks. Don't try that at all.
Dan, how about Mark Sanchez saying he read Drew Brees' book?
Well, it was recommended to him by Brian Schottenheimer, who was the quarterback's coach during Drew Brees' early years in San Diego, and they were talking about the fact that Drew Brees in his third year, which is where Mark Sanchez is right now, was actually benched several times in San Diego, and was he actually got benched in favor of Doug Flutie, and look where Drew Brees is now. I think it's just that positive reinforcement that anything to help Mark Sanchez along.
Well, and that this quarterbacking in the NFL is a learning process.
Yeah, and you're not making up a fairy tale. It actually happened to Drew Brees, and you can't be playing quarterback any better than he.
And we get a whistle. Well, we haven't had one of these in a while, so it's fitting.
Another false start.
Before the snap, false start. Offense, number 19. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Penalty is on Brandon Marshall. From NCIS and CSI to The Good Wife and The Mentalist. If you're looking for the best in drama, you need to look only one place. Only CBS.
We'll see where this drive ends up for Todd Bowles and his Miami Dolphins, but it's already been a huge success. Remember, this thing started back at the 6-yard line. So in terms of field position, they've already moved it.
This is Daniel Thomas, and Thomas is hit hard by number 91, Sione Bauha. Tennessee has taken a 16-13 lead on Houston. Not good news for the Jets and their fans.
I'm assuming that these, I don't know if the guys are on the bench trying to track that game or not. I would highly recommend that they don't. It's tough enough here nursing this 4-point lead over Miami.
You wouldn't want to know if you were a player?
No. I'm too concerned about trying to win this game, which is very much up in the air right now. I would not want to know.
More. And that's complete out in the flat to Lex Hilliard out of the backfield.
Greg, to want to know would imply that you would play differently based on the results of that game. And that's not the way a professional goes about it. Matt Moore releases that just before he gets caught in the sandwich.
Matt Moore, not huge as quarterbacks go. He's all of 203 pounds. 3rd and 12. Moore able to step into this one. Marshall wide open to the 30, inside the 30 to the 27-yard line.
Well, Darrelle Revis, who's on Marshall, fell down. Darrelle Revis lost his footing and was on the ground when Brandon Marshall makes that catch. Let's take a look at it right here. What a matchup this is. But right there you can see that Darrelle Revis put his left foot out to try to plant, and he lost it, just slid out from under him, and down he went.
And that is the last play of the 3rd quarter. We've played 3 here in Miami. The Jets need it bad. 10-6 is the score. We'll come back after this message. And the word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Along with our producer, Mark Wolf, our director, Bob Fishman, and the rest of our terrific CBS Sports crew here in Miami. Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf. Happy New Year to you as we start the fourth quarter. The Jets with a 10-6 lead. Moore with the give to Slayton. Let's go back to that pass play, Moore to Brandon Marshall.
Yeah, you know, both these guys this week said, I hope the officials let us play. And there's a lot of hand fighting and contact. And, you know, you could raise the question, you know, did Brandon Marshall push off? You know, I don't think that's what caused Darrelle Revis to slide. I think he lost his footing. And both these guys, you know, both of these guys have said this week, you know, there's going to be contact between us, and I hope it doesn't become a ticky-tack thing with flags flying.
And there was no shortage of praise from Revis. He told us he thinks Brandon Marshall is a gifted receiver. Moore. Best run out of bounds at about the 18-yard line, but enough for a first down.
Well, we, you know, told you we were going to highlight this pairing here today. There's a good matchup there with Devon Bess, and again, he fights and competes for the football. And Matt Moore again shows a nice touch on the football on the sideline. Matt Moore is not afraid to air it out either deep or between the numbers in the sideline.
Miami's first trip into the red zone today. The pass complete to the near side of the field, and Best once again on the receiving end.
Boy, and this is some drive taking place right now. Check it out. This is 16 plays already. Man, this is...
By the way, you can keep track of what's going on with the Tennessee-Houston game on your screen. The Jets need a win here and need a Tennessee loss.
Now Mark Sanchez is and his entire offense over there can fall asleep. This drive's over 9 minutes already.
Moore on the move, keeps it, and out of bounds at the 12.
Well, I think Matt Moore surprises people with his ability to move. And, you know, okay, that's not fair that Mike DeVito, a defensive tackle, is left with having to try to run him down. But Matt Moore is a pretty decent athlete, moves around the pocket. But I think, like a lot of people, I've just been surprised at his ability to make all the throws that a legitimate NFL quarterback has to make.
3rd and 4. Moore over the middle, inside the 5 to Bess. 1st and goal.
Well, with all the attention that Brandon Marshall and Hartline are getting because of their ability to go deep, there's a lot of room underneath for Devon Bess. And you could see right there that Donald Strickland comes on a blitz, Eric Smith comes on a blitz, and there is a lot of territory left for Kyle Wilson, number 20, to try to defend, and he can't do it.
A great job by Bess pulling in a pass that was thrown behind him.
Yep, it sure was. But a big hole in that Jets defense because of the blitz.
On 1st and goal. Daniel Thomas did not get in. Did everything but get in.
Well, he was going to make sure nobody got this football away from him. Look, Daniel Thomas never takes both hands off that football. Look, he's got it. Rex knows they did not get in.
2nd and goal.
Mike Pouncey, the rookie center, over the ball, instrumental in this kind of a deal.
Trying it again on the left side this time. No call yet from the goal line.
Boy, they're saying he didn't get in.
Daniel Thomas comes up short again.
Pouncey is actually going to pull and lead up through the hole, and it looks like he slips. He's going to come out, and he goes down there. He loses his footing and isn't able to deliver a really big block. This is going to be the 21st play of this drive. You don't see that every day.
It's taken up 11 minutes and 50 seconds. Moore. Under pressure. Throwing. Touchdown. To Charles Clay.
And that was Josh Munga having to defend because David Harris is out of the game. Right there, you could see running to the inside and then coming back to the outside. And he leaves Munga behind. And that was just really well done by Charles Clay. And again, Munga just lost track of his guy, and tremendous effort by Matt Moore of staying alive, extending, and finishing.
21 plays, 94 yards, taking up 12 and a half minutes. And the Miami Dolphins, with 10:27 to play in the fourth, on Jason Taylor's getaway day, the Dolphins take the lead over the New York Jets, 13-10.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by T. Rowe Price. Understanding the connections of a complex global economy. Invest with confidence. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Back in Miami, Joe McKnight is deep for the New York Jets. And will he return this one? No, he won't get a chance. It is out of the end zone. So the Jets trailing by 3 from their own 20 when we come back. Those 21 plays in that drive, that 12-29, top numbers in the NFL this season. Engineered by that man, Matt Moore.
I can't remember the last time I saw a drive that long.
So now Sanchez and the Jets down 3. Little pump fake, and he's going to go deep. Started to go deep, and then back shoulder the pass to Jeremy Curley. Let's go back to that touchdown pass.
Well, great call by Brian Dable, the offensive coordinator. He puts Clay out here in the slot. But look at Smith, and inside is Monga. Take a look at the fact Smith is calling Monga to get out here and get on him, and Monga guesses. Right there, he dove because he thought the ball was going to be thrown, and the ball wasn't thrown, and he's on the ground and couldn't react.
This is Sean Green. And Green breaking across the 40 out to the 44. Let's get another update from JB and Boomer in New York.
28 unanswered by the Patriots.
That's right. How about Tom Brady going to find his favorite receiver, not named Wes Welker? That's Rob Gronkowski. That's his 16th TD reception of the year. Patriots up 28-21. Remember, still playing for the #1 seed in the AFC playoffs.
And home field throughout, of course, with the win, as you said, Boomer. Greg and Dan.
All right, guys, thank you. 2nd and 2 for the Jets, and this is Sean Green straight ahead. And appears to have enough for the first down at about the 47-yard line.
Boy, that has been a long time since the Jets allowed to play a drive with that many plays, all the way back to 1993. And the Jets right now, I'm assuming, have a sense of urgency.
And as you can see at the bottom of your screen, Tennessee and Houston now tied at 16.
This is no time for false starts or pre-snap penalties.
Sanchez under pressure. And grabbing the football is Randy Starks. Starks down at the 24-yard line. Jason Taylor appeared to be the one in on Sanchez.
He just went right around DeBrickashaw Ferguson. Take a look at the left of your screen. Ferguson gives a soft corner, and Jason Taylor, as he's been doing his entire career, blows it up.
Off first down. Daniel Thomas. About a half a yard, just inside the 25. Let's go back to a very strange play.
Well, you know, first of all, Jason Taylor, a great job of getting around Ferguson. That's a poor job by DeBrickashaw Ferguson. But at this point in time, yeah, I think Mark Sanchez has just got to realize he's getting sacked. He continues to try to get rid of this football. I think he's trying to find John Connor, who's just a couple yards away. But you know, it ends up backfiring in your face. You take the sack and you run another play.
More. And Devon Bess is hit, goes down, and stays down at the 23.
Well, Bart Scott just took the legs out from underneath Devon Bess. And that was a good job of going back and getting a ball. And that is, you can see his left leg flexes in there. And I'm telling you something, receivers, I know nobody, you know, you don't want to hit them in the head or anything like that, but nobody likes getting hit down there.
7:39 to play, fourth quarter. Jets down 3.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Sprint. All football, no limits, only from Sprint. Ram trucks, guts, glory, Ram. And by TD Ameritrade.
For the last half of this season, Matt Moore has been stating his case to be the starting quarterback next year for these Miami Dolphins. He's 14 out of 15 throwing the ball here in the second half. 3rd and 7. Moore steps up, throws for the end zone. It is incomplete. Brandon Marshall, the intended receiver, covered by Darrelle Revis.
He's arguing for the flag. This is fun watching these two display their skills. And again, Darrelle Revis does something that isn't exactly corner 101, doing the complete spin all the way around. That was played perfectly by Revis.
Here is Carpenter, who has been good from 44 and 58. This one is from 41. And put 3 more on the board for the Miami Dolphins. 7:11 to play in the fourth. 16-10 Miami. Once again, our aerial coverage of today's game provided by MetLife. We have seen Miami score 13 straight points. They've scored 10 in the last 3 minutes and 16 seconds, and they lead at 16-10. McKnight from 3 yards deep in the end zone. Stumbles as he crosses the 20, and loose ball. And he is, well, it's going to be ruled Jets football at the 25.
Joe McKnight so close to breaking that, and he was down by contact. That's what sent him stumbling like that. So he has the football, and when he hits the ground, it comes out. That is nowhere close to a fumble.
His 31.9 average on kick returns, number 1 in the NFL coming into this game. The Jets now getting close to backs against the wall time. Sanchez throws, incomplete. Sean Green out of the backfield.
And again, you know, you'd like to hit your running back in stride and put him in a position where he can do something after the catch. And you know, and even though it's a short pass, it requires touch and it requires accuracy. And that ball way behind Sean Green, where he can't do anything with it. That's just a really bad pass by Mark Sanchez. And you can't misfire from that short yardage.
This one is on target. That's complete to Curley, and Curley out of bounds at about the 37-yard line. Let's check in quickly with JB and Boomer in New York, guys.
Detroit, that is, playing passionately.
But they're trying to get to the 5th seed, and they need to win this football game. Matthew Stafford, that's his 39th touchdown pass of the season to Titus Young. They take the lead 26-24 over the Packers. Remember, Aaron Rodgers is not playing.
Back to Greg and Dan.
Did you see that little sidearm shot from Matthew Stafford? Holy smoke.
I love the way he throws the ball. That was an outstanding pass by Sanchez last time.
Sanchez throws into a crowd, and it's incomplete. And a penalty marker down on this side of the field.
This was where Vontae Davis and Santonio Holmes were playing.
Boy, Santonio Holmes has just been non-existent today.
While the quarterback was in the pocket, illegal contact, defense, number 21, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Again, this is at the very bottom of the field. Well, yeah, you can, way beyond the 5-yard area. Vontae Davis making contact with and riding Santonio Holmes. Yeah, Sean Green, after that last play, was gesturing to Mark Sanchez about where to put the football. Give me a chance to catch it.
Money!
LaDainian Tomlinson in the backfield now. First down, Jets their own 42. LT. Slips and is down at the 43.
Nice job by Kevin Burnett, the Miami linebacker. Really strung that out. LT had nowhere to go.
Want to remind you, stay tuned for the Verizon update, time permitting, as we come up on 6 minutes to play here in the fourth quarter.
Leo! Greg! Leo!
Sanchez over the middle. LT juggles it for a moment and makes it across the 45 to the 47.
Mark Sanchez lost his footing and almost went down back in the pocket.
Footing hasn't been great on this field
today.
today.
It hasn't rained here, but the guys have been all over the place. Yeah, you can see right there, Mark goes down and actually supports himself with the hand that has the football in it, and he comes back up. I'll tell you what, you can't say anything about his athletic ability.
Third and 5. Outside, complete to Plaxico Burress for the first down.
And Burress calling for the ball because he realizes what a huge, you can see here comes the blitz. The safety, Rashad Jones, is having to rotate all the way over, and Burress realizes that he is wide open. And a good throw that time from Sanchez, turning Burress upfield and letting him get some momentum to move the chains. A risky move there by the Dolphins and Mike Nolan, their defensive coordinator.
This is Sean Green. And you know, Dan, there's a pattern here, and it's exactly the problem that Mark Sanchez has had, is being consistent, because we've said over and over today, there's a terrific pass, there's one that isn't so good. This one's terrific, this one's not good at all.
Consistency is the main word that you hear. If that was your bonus word, you would be collecting on it more often than any other word, because when you talk about, and it's not just Sanchez, but this whole Jets offense, they have had a lack of consistency most of the season.
Bring him.
On 2nd and 9, and again a receiver on the ground. That's Curley.
Again, a reminder to everybody, the Jets must win this game to have any chance of getting into the playoffs. They must defeat Miami.
And here come the Miami fans.
Yeah, Tennessee and Houston are tied. They need Houston to beat Tennessee.
Sanchez under the blitz, throwing incomplete. Curley, the intended receiver.
And Mark Sanchez got absolutely drilled, and he's hurt.
And there's a penalty flag down.
Mark Sanchez is hurt.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense, number 37, leading with the helmet into the quarterback.
Mark Sanchez trying to work his throwing arm.
First down.
Jeremiah Bell, and you can see the contact to the head. You just can't hit the quarterback. I know the crowd's reacting to it, thinking it wasn't much of a hit. You cannot make you can't make contact with the quarterback in the neck or the head area.
So now the Jets with the ball at the Miami 30. Here's another look.
Yeah, again,
Jeremiah Bell.
Bell leaves the ground and his shoulder hits Mark Sanchez right in the face. That's a penalty every time.
End around. Curley. Curley turns the corner. 20, 15, and out of bounds.
Well, that's a nice call. It gives Mark Sanchez a little breathing room where he doesn't have to do much with the football other than just a short flip. And that was nice job by Dustin Keller out front. He makes 2 blocks. He slows down Jason Taylor, and then he gets to the second level and makes another one. Curley is really acquitting himself well here today.
The Jets at the Miami 14.
Let's see if Mark Sanchez can throw the ball with any authority.
Little shovel pass. Straight ahead. LaDainian Tomlinson just inside the 10.
There was no question that Mark Sanchez ran all the way over by the Jets sideline. I think he was wondering whether or not he was going to be able to remain on the field.
Coming up on 3.5 to play. Dead even, 27 rushes, 27 passes. Sanchez looks right, throws, end zone incomplete. LaDainian Tomlinson.
Well, it was good coverage by Mitchell, and Mark Sanchez, because of that coverage, ends up throwing a football that nobody could have caught. It's out of bounds. But Mitchell doesn't have any idea where the ball is. If that was a true back shoulder throw to LaDainian Tomlinson and the ball would have been in the field of play, that could have easily been a touchdown because Mitchell had no idea where the football was.
3rd and 5. Sanchez intercepted at the 10. Mitchell, 45, waits for a block to the 35 of the Jets.
Where he's tackled by Mark Sanchez. Well, this is Mark Sanchez again. Keep in mind, that shoulder, I don't know what effect it had on that throw, but that again, good coverage by Mitchell. Really good coverage by Mitchell, and instead of leading his receiver, that ball is behind Sean Green right into the hands of Mitchell. That needed to be out in front, and Rex Ryan furious.
That is a career worst 3rd interception on the day, thrown by Mark Sanchez.
And the medical staff isn't looking at him. It's not like he's got a swarm of doctors around him looking at his arm.
Slayton. And the Dolphins will look to run this clock out and end the Jets season right here.
Well, take a look at the yards per attempt. About 5 yards per attempt, which is really not a good figure in the NFL.
Jets use their first timeout to stop the clock. 2:50 to play.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go. And by Subway. Start the year right at Subway with a fresh twist on turkey. Subway, eat fresh.
2 minutes, 50 seconds remaining here in regulation. Miami with a 16-10 lead and the football at the Jets 31. Slayton inside the 30 to about the 28. Let's go back to that interception of Sanchez.
They got the matchup they wanted. Here's Sean Green over here, and here's Mitchell. And, you know, he's going to come all the way across. But this is a throw from Mark Sanchez that has to lead Sean Green. Green stumbles a little bit, but that Sanchez picks him up. He fell at the end because he tried to throw his feet out and stop himself, reacting to a ball that was thrown well behind him. And that is just, this has to be extremely disappointing for Mark Sanchez. Intercepted there by Randy Stark, a defensive lineman. Again, Jason Taylor under pressure. And again, that throw was probably off about 7 or 8 feet from where it needed to be, leading Sean Green.
3rd and 1. This is Slayton. And Slayton fighting for a first down.
And fighting to hold on to the football.
And we'll probably get a measurement here. Jets call a timeout and stop the clock with 2:37 to play. Game still to come.
And that was the Jets' final timeout.
Here on CBS today. A bunch of big ones at 4 o'clock. Kansas City at Denver. Denver wins, they win the West. Baltimore at Cincinnati. Cincinnati looking for a playoff spot. San Diego at Oakland. Oakland with a shot at claiming the AFC West. Pittsburgh at Cleveland. Pittsburgh and Baltimore in a dogfight for the division title.
Well, it's a 4th down, and out comes the field goal unit for Miami. Obviously, a field goal here makes it a 2-score game. With 2.5 minutes left, and the Jets having already used all of their timeouts.
Carpenter will line this one up from 44 yards.
And the Jets are in big trouble.
Miami has scored 9 points today off of 3 turnovers.
And again, you just said the magic word, Greg, turnovers. At home, they're bad enough. On the road, more often than not, they're fatal.
Plexico Burress, 2 catches today for 15 yards. Santonio Holmes, no catches.
The odds of winning a football game when you are -3 in the turnover differential are really slim. They're single digits. Your odds of winning a game.
Miami has scored 16 straight points.
And look at that. That does not equate to what you normally think of when you think of a Rex Ryan defense. Whether that was in Baltimore, whether it was the previous couple of years with the Jets.
And Tennessee has grabbed the 22-16 lead against Houston.
Well, that's the least of the Jets' concerns right now.
And right, you're right, none of that matters if the Jets don't win here.
Right. Well, now it's about more than just dumping it off. and 5 and 6 yards at a time. The Jets need a couple chunk plays.
Jason Taylor out there encouraging the fans to make some noise. In his final game of a great 15-year career. Sanchez tipped at the line of scrimmage, grabbed by an offensive lineman, and picked off now by the Dolphins to the end zone. Jason Taylor. This is fairy tale stuff.
Well, was that Matt Slauson with the ball? If he wasn't, if he hits the ground but he wasn't down by contact, that's a legal play because the ball's still live.
They will take a look at it in the booth. We'll take a look at it here.
Because it's ruled a scoring play, it's automatically under review. But right there, it goes to Slauson. Now he's got possession. He's down by contact. He is down by contact. Initially, I didn't think he was, but he is clearly down by contact. He's hit right there. That's not a fumble.
Nope.
That is not a fumble. That ball is coming back to the Jets. Jared Odrick tackles Matt Slauson, and when his elbow hits the ground, the ball comes loose. When his elbow hits the ground, he is down. They're going to have to figure out where to respot that ball.
So Jerome Boger is under the hood taking a look at this.
Right. An alert play by Slauson. There's no question. He has possession of the football until his elbow hits the ground. That ball is not coming loose before his forearm is on the ground.
Well, it would have been a nice storybook ending for Jason Taylor, wouldn't it?
I think the Jets are still alive. The officials on the field didn't see the down by contact either. That's why they ruled it a touchdown.
Well, Jerome Boger is on his way back. He's seen what he needs to see.
And both teams already know this. The Jets offense is out on the field along with the Miami defense. Well, for Jason Taylor, it was nice while it lasted.
It was.
After reviewing the play, after the reception by number 68, he was down by contact prior to fumbling the ball at the 21-yard line. It would be New York's ball, 2nd and 9 at the 21-yard line.
Well, an alert play by Matt Slauson and coming up with the football. And I think we've got a really definitive look of him having complete control of the football until his forearm hits the ground, and at that moment the play's over.
And Matt Slauson today has more receptions than Santonio Holmes.
Go figure.
Jets ball at the 21, 2nd and 9. And the clock is moving. Sanchez steps up over the middle, Burris, 40, 45, and down at midfield. And we will get the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to play. Very likely 2 minutes to play in the Jets season. We'll be back right after this. Santonio Holmes has taken a seat on the bench, looking for all the world like he's not going to reappear in the final 2 minutes of this game.
Well, he was out in the huddle. He was out there during the timeout, and then he got substituted for, went over to the bench, flipped his helmet, and sat out.
Patrick Turner is on the field. Sanchez throwing to Keller, and Keller out of bounds at the Miami 45. Once again to JB and Boomer in New York, guys.
Greg, however slim, Tennessee's playoff hope still alive.
I'll tell you what, they're making plays, though. Matt Hasselbeck down the field. This is going to be to Nate Washington. Goes in for the game-leading touchdown, 23 yards. They're up 23-16, 3:39 left in the fourth. Not a good scenario for the New York Jets.
Back to Greg and Dan.
Neither is this one, Boomer.
Leggin.
Second and 5.
Money.
Curley. Stiff arm and out of bounds inside the 35 with a nice block from Plaxico Burress.
This is what we talked about, Holmes being out in the huddle during the timeout. Here he is out there, and he's in an argument with somebody. Dustin Keller getting in front of him there. But let me tell you something, Santonio Holmes is over on the bench, not even watching what's going on. Your season is on the line. You're wearing a C as a captain, and you don't even watch what's happening out on the field? Are you kidding me?
Sanchez. Near sideline, Burress with the catch, and out of bounds at the 20-yard line for a first down.
Well, Plaxico Burress is still working here. And again, the footing on this field, you see again, Sean Smith, he tries to plant and drive up, and he can't do it. His feet go out from under him. The Orange Bowl is going to be played here in a couple of days, I believe on Wednesday.
They're going to bring their skis. Sanchez, Tomlinson, inside the 10. And maybe enough for a first and goal.
But the clock continues to run. The Jets without timeouts.
No, second down. Sanchez, rip time, now rolling and throwing to the end zone.
That's a touchdown.
Touchdown.
This is interesting now.
Patrick Turner.
And Patrick Turner being a huge target, another 6'5", 250-pound guy working against Vontae Davis. And again, Davis loses track when Sanchez scrambles out of the pocket and buys some extra time. Vontae Davis went to sleep for just a minute. That 1 second of just losing his focus allowed Turner to react, to get open, and Sanchez found him.
Turner and Sanchez, former USC Trojans. The kick is good. The Jets went 80 yards in a minute 17, and they pulled it within 2.
Well, it's all going to come down to this onside kick. Which one are you going to try? There's a number of variations. Mike Westhoff
knows them all.
Yes, he does. He invented some of them. You know, you can pooch it, drive it into the ground, hope for that big 10, 15-yard hop up into the air. Sometimes you drill it, try to bounce it off one of the defenders.
So the Jets trying to keep a little bit of hope alive.
I hope that Santonio Holmes is hurt. I hope there. We haven't been told that he's injured. But even if he was injured, I'm pretty speechless that he wasn't even standing on the sidelines watching his team drive down.
And it looks like that streak will come to an end today. Because as we saw him on the sideline, Dan, he appeared to be unhooking his pads.
Well, here it comes for the Jets. Again, you got to be within 5 yards of the 35-yard line, the coverage team.
And Miami calls the timeout.
They wanted to see how New York was going to deploy, and the ball fell off the tee. That was kind of, they took a timeout anyway.
A reminder, plenty more to come today here on CBS. Kansas City, Denver, San Diego, Oakland, the AFC West at stake. Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Baltimore, and Cincinnati, the AFC North at stake. And Tennessee still holding on to a lead over the Houston Texans.
Well, everybody with sure hands is on both sides of this equation. The guys covering for New York and certainly the guys on the receiving side for Miami.
So here comes the onside kick.
It could come back this direction. We've seen that a bunch lately.
And grabbing it and going out of bounds with it is Brandon Marshall.
And that is pretty much it for the New York Jets. Without timeouts, Miami can just kneel on the ball. Folk gets that good hop, but it just perfectly bounces right to Brandon Marshall. He had a wall of blockers in front of him to screen off the Jets.
This will make 5 wins for the Dolphins in their last 7 games against the New York Jets. And for the Dolphins, in a rivalry as intense as this one, this is a pretty sweet win and a pretty sweet way to end the season.
Well, it's what being a professional football player is all about. Even when you have nothing at stake but your pride and being a part of a team, to respond the way the Miami Dolphins did, it's to their credit.
And Jets Super Bowl predictions come to an end right here.
An 8-8 season for the New York Jets, and what an off season that this is going to be for Rex Ryan, for Brian Schottenheimer, for Mark Sanchez,
and the fans chanting JT. And number 99 calls it a career here today.
Well, I hope that a fair number of these people from Miami make the pilgrimage to Canton, Ohio, when Jason Taylor is inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He is most worthy.
The executive producers of the NFL on CBS are Sean McManus and Harold Bryant. Today's game produced by Mark Wolf, directed by Bob Fishman. The senior producer of CBS and the NFL Today is Eric Mann. The NFL Today directed by Bob Matina. Coordinating producer of the NFL on CBS, Lance Barrow. The coordinating producer of CBS Sports is Steve Karasik. Our associate directors today, Ryan Galvin and Brian Sealing. Our broadcast associates, Brian Jagoda and Brad Chen. Our technical director, Mike Tippy, and the audio supervisor, Kevin Little. Our stats provided by Joe Castellano and Andy Zepoznik. Our spotter is Michael Gluck. Happy New Year, everyone. Jason Taylor goes out on a high note for the New York Jets. It's a long ride home. For Dan Deerdorf, for all of us here in Miami, Greg Gumbel saying so long from Sun Life Stadium. Up next, action galore here on CBS. But first, the NFL Today update presented by Verizon to New York after